All right, everybody, what is going on? Game wrapped up just a little more than half an hour ago, and I mean, it final scores kind of speaks for itself. 37-9, hard to have a final score like that. So, good game going on the road and holding a dome team in their dome to under 10 points is something that I will always appreciate and always take a lot of good stuff out of. And 37 points also. I mean, these things do not come easy in this league. I know sometimes this team feels like makes you feel like it is easy, but it's not. So 37-9 gets it done. Now, obviously, for those of us with long memories, there were definitely moments in this game that were frustrating, possibly even a little bit scary, but they found their way in that second half. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. All right, so let's okay, first special teams, let's get that out of the way real quick. Jay Harbaugh, big shout out. Awesome game for the special teams. We had a blocked field goal. Shout out Nick Eman for that one. We had a kick return get returned for a touchdown 100-yarder. Shout out to the special teams. Great game. Made all of our field goals. I think all of our punts except for one were good. We had the one from the 1 yard line where kind of hard to have a really good punt when you're punting from your own 1 yard line or 2 yard line or whatever it was. So special teams. That was a plus game. That was they legitimately helped flip this game. And without them, we probably still win, but we're probably much more annoyed right now. So great news there. We dominated that special teams battle. Jay Harbaugh, he is getting it done this year at a very, very, very high level. All right, so moving beyond that, I just wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way real quick here. Defense, I mean, I'll say it again, guys. I understand that this Atlanta team is not very good. I understand they got some backups out there. They're still the Falcons at home. And I think that when you play the Falcons at home, you're always kind of expecting some pretty notable, significant, explosive things to happen. And when you can prevent that, you deserve some props for it. Like Atlanta, even this year, as bad as they are, they have been a different team when they play at home. They are, at the very least, somewhat competent offensively. Now, I will give Kirk Cousins a lot of credit, and I do think you see where he, as a player, has come a long way from where he was last year when he was still trying to recover from the Achilles tear. I think that he managed the game way better. And the thing about him, because I'm not saying he had a good game, he didn't have a good game, but what he did, when he got pressure, the ball teleported out of his hands. He just snapped it out of there. He was not going to get sacked. He was not going to get hit. And I think he did a really good job mitigating the worst of the worst in this game. Okay, so other than that, other than the fact that we struggled to get a lot of pressure, and when we did, Cousins kind of was able to do a really good job of limiting the damage that we could do. Really inefficient passing attack, 3 turnovers. Jaron Reed, welcome back. Cool to see a guy like Witherspoon, who has been without an interception for over 2 years, finally get one. Eamon Worry, first career interception. And by the way, Eamon Worry, probably the player of this game. He played like an absolute G. Incredible, incredible effort from him. And that comes with mistakes too, right? He gave up a couple of the big plays that Kyle Pitts had. Gets beaten coverage, but it's very worth it in a game like this. And once he works some of these little bumps and bruises out of his game, once he gets some of these little foibles that he has in coverage out, then the sky is the limit, because it's not natural for a guy to be this talented. It's not natural for a guy that big and strong and long to be that fast and quick. So the way in which the passing attack was limited in this game, great. I thought Woolen played a nice little game, except for the penalty and garbage time. I thought Joe played good until the penalty and garbage time as well, for the most part. Obviously, you don't hold him to the same standard as you do a guy like Woolen or a Witherspoon, but did fine. Okada actually played a lot today because Love was on a pretty strict pitch count, I think, but did good. I mean, on all levels, man. And Atlanta did have a little bit of success running the ball, and to their credit, and obviously this is kind of what they have to do right now, they stuck to the run the whole game. Even when the game got out of hand, even when they were down 3 scores, they wanted to keep running the ball, and it wasn't just because they were surrendering the game. It wasn't because they gave up. It was because they know they cannot have a high-volume passing attack without Drake London. So I think that Atlanta Falcons team was probably playing the only way that they could play football, and holding this Atlanta offense to under 4 yards a carry. Again, Bijan Robinson having an incredible year. Atlanta, in terms of at least volume, having a really good rushing attack. I will take that. I know people are going to look at it and say, oh, you gave up 120 yards. I will live with that against this Falcons team, especially when I'm completely flushing their passing attack down the toilet like that. Now, turnovers were kind of the name of the game here, some big splash plays. It wasn't like last week where Minnesota just could not move the ball at all, right? It was a little bit different, but nonetheless highly effective. And one thing that I did yesterday is I made several videos comparing this defense to the 2013 defense, and to me, the main reason why the 2013 defense is better is just because they force more turnovers. So if this team starts forcing more turnovers, I'm certainly not going to argue it. I'm certainly not going to be upset about it, and maybe that's how they unlock their final form. Not really too much else to say, man. It was a great game. The blocked field goal helps, right? The blocked field goal helps. Atlanta had a 4th and goal they went for and didn't get. They had a fumble in the red zone, so there are some aspects to this game that are a little kind of sort of fluky, that made the defense look better than they were by a little bit, maybe. But you're still talking about some really, really cool stuff happening with this squad, and I know that there was consternation early in this game, but looking back at it now, looking at the big picture, it is such a special unit we have, and I really hope we can take advantage of it in full and make a deep playoff run with it, because look, a lot of these guys are young, a lot of these guys will be here next year, but it's going to be hard to maintain this level of play beyond this one season. It just will be. I don't think we have any real injury concerns right now. I know Eamon Warrior left for a couple plays, but he came back, so no real issues there. I know that Derek Hall left for a little bit, but he was back in at the end, so he's fine. Yeah, just cool stuff there, and it's good that we had that, because without the defense pitching, not a shutout, but pretty close, we might be a little bit more concerned with the offense. And I'll say this, because we're flipping over to the offense now. When we played the Titans a couple weeks ago, even though it wasn't the greatest game we had ever played, I was never concerned we were going to lose, ever. It was never a thought in my mind that we could lose that game. We played the Vikings last week, and again, it was not our greatest game ever. But I never thought for a minute we were going to lose that game. It didn't even occur to me. This week, the thought entered my mind a little bit, and that's obviously, some of it is a little bit just kind of fear-based because you're in the moment. It feels a little silly, right, to sit here and say, hey, we won the game by 28 points, but I was afraid we were going to lose it at one point. But that was a very rough start, and I think that there are a lot of Seahawks fans who are ready to hit the panic button on the offense. They're ready to hit the eject button on Sam Darnold. They're ready to throw Clint Kubiak out. They're ready to burn it all down because the last few weeks it hasn't looked as good. It hasn't looked as sharp. And I have pushed back pretty hard against that in previous weeks. And I do still think those people are being silly. But I think those concerns are starting to become a little bit more justified as we go through these weeks and we continue to see things look a little less stable. And honestly, I can't even say, because one of the defenses that I had earlier was, well, we're reforming the offense and we're building up one that is better on the ground, that is going to be better running the ball. Because I don't think we were that good running the ball today. I know the numbers look okay. 5 yards a carry is good, but Velez Jones actually did a decent amount of the heavy lifting there in garbage time. Charbonnet was good, but Walker never really got going. Walker couldn't really find his footing, and it felt like Atlanta was just on top of what we were doing there. And I felt that way a little bit about the passing attack as well, but when we ran the ball, it felt like Atlanta was just kind of on top of it. They had guys, they had a flood of guys. So I can't even sit here and say, oh, we're trying to build a more consistent rushing attack. That's why the passing attack isn't what it used to be. Because today, I actually don't think the running game was that good. Remember, Atlanta's rushing defense is bad. They have one of the worst run defenses in football. And we did good, but I think we should be a little bit further beyond this at this point. So, yeah, it is not where it used to be. And after a game like today, where, yeah, the offense came alive in that second half and played great, and I think everybody locked in pretty much. Yeah, there's a little bit of concern that a better team is going to be able to take advantage of this a little bit more. Atlanta was not good enough to take advantage. So, to those who are concerned, I hear you. And the passing attack in that first half, I mean, right out of the gate, we get the ball, we run a screen pass to JSN, or maybe it was technically a handoff, and AJ Barner is tasked with blocking 3 different defenders, and we lose yards. And then it was either a run or a screen pass to Ken Walker, and there are no blockers, and there's like 3 Atlanta defenders right in front of him. He loses yards. So it was just that sense that Atlanta was just kind of on top of everything we did. So I don't know really who to pin that on. I don't know if it's play calling, play design. I don't know if there's some kind of pre-snap tell that this offense has, but it felt like Atlanta was just kind of in our huddle. They were in our kitchen. So frustrating. And then Darnold looked awful early in this game. The interception, it's a bad play call, but it's also a bad decision and a bad throw when there were other plays to make on that play that would have gotten you the first down. Could have run for the first probably, definitely could have hit Walker on a check down. And all those options would have probably, I think, almost certainly gotten you what you needed. You only needed a yard. And, yeah, by halftime, people were flipping out about Darnold. And again, I plug myself into the Seahawks fan base as much as I can. I have a Discord with over 300 members for the server, for the channel, and people were like, "What are we doing here? What is Sam Darnold at this point? Like, we don't throw the ball hardly at all. We barely throw the football. We may end up having the fewest passing attempts in football by the end of the year, and Darnold can't stop turning it over." And I said this before, I'll say it again. Sam Darnold is a turnover-heavy quarterback. He is. Turns the ball over too much. He always has, and he always will. When you sign him, you need to be mentally accepting that. But the fact that we have built this team, and look, I'm not saying that Kubiak is blameless here. I'm not saying that other players are blameless either, but you built this team where Darnold doesn't really have to throw the ball that much, and he's still having a turnover like that one. And the one he had today, that isn't just like the cost of doing business. That's just a terrible play that can never happen for any reason ever. It's not like the turnovers he had against Pittsburgh or the turnovers he had against Arizona, where it's just kind of like, whatever, stuff happens. No, that was just that's the kind of play that is going to make people lose faith in you. And I believe this fan base, despite everything, is kind of chomping at the bit to give up on Sam Darnold. Now, I'm not there. I'm not there at all. I think Darnold is playing good. I think he's earning his money. I think he's probably playing better than you should reasonably expect given the amount of money that we're paying him. But I can understand that we're going to get to this offseason, and for like the 5th offseason in a row, there's going to be a significant chunk of this fan base that wants a new quarterback. And we've been doing this for so long now that it's exhausting. Other fan bases don't have to deal with this stuff. And look, in all likelihood, I'm not going to be agreeing with them, but I look at some of this stuff and I'm like, I guess I get it. You know, I can understand where this comes from. But second half, JSN kind of offense looked a little bit more normal. Darnold got the ball, got it out of his hands quickly, actually hit his back foot and just threw it. It actually looked like a normal NFL offense. Shaheed got very involved in the offense, which was awesome because we haven't seen that until today. Cooper Kupp, a couple nice plays for him as well. AJ Barner was a little more involved. So by the end of this game, you're looking at it and you're going, okay, we were good. We got something, but that first half, there are going to be better teams we play where we do that and we can't recover. By the time we figure things out, it's too late. And beyond all that, the other layer here is the offensive line today. I think they got whipped. And I know Atlanta's got a good pass rush. I know they've got a pretty good front, or at least elements of that front are very good. But man, Charles Cross gives up a sack on the first drive of the game. Now, I think Darnold held on to the ball too long. So I blame Darnold for that sack more than Cross, but Cross still gets beat. And then Gray's Abel gives up, I think, his first sack of the year, according to some people anyway. As Abel gets beat, they're getting whipped on some of these run plays. I think the offensive line played really badly, and I don't I don't know what to really make of that. Again, Atlanta near the league lead in sacks, so I'm not going to read too much into it, but even against the run, man, I thought they were just getting punished. And that's not going to work when we get down to the nitty-gritty of it. Okay, I think that's really about it. I did want to spend some time on that first half because I know a lot of fans are going to be antsy about that, and I think those people deserve to be heard because I think it's a legitimate concern. We have an actual problem, and I can't hide that behind considerations like, oh, it's just because we're balancing the offense, because I don't think that really happened today when it should have. But 37-9, man, like be grateful. Be grateful you can win by 28 points and still be sitting there like, man, we really left some stuff on the board here. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Everybody have a good day.